music's done. All right, welcome everyone to Nerd Herd. We are your favorite show on WTOP 10. Yes, Diane, this show, not your grandson Sport OP or your nephew who hosts the news. This is your favorite show now. All right? Joining me today, as always, the Big Red Machine, Seamus Raya, and the captain himself, Curtis Cady. Gentlemen, how you doing?
I don't know if I want to be on the show anymore. That sounded like a threat.
That's not
Cry
funny.
more, coward.
Cry more. All right, we got a really good show for you today. We're super excited. It's our Whiteout episode, and we'll explain that later. But we're going to start with updating the data bank, which we always do. This is where we give you your spoonful of sugar, a.k.a. nerd news. Seamus has got the first story. Go for it, kid.
Yes, I do. This past week was BlizzCon, and among all the rumors and controversy, the biggest announcements that we are going to be talking about is the new Diablo game, thankfully not this time a smartphone exclusive, and Overwatch 2. Both with revamped and updated graphics. There isn't too much information on either of them, but what we do know is certainly interesting. Overwatch 2 looks to shift focus from more than just a multiplayer game and into experience co-op and story, as well as giving more depth to the multiplayer with character skill trees. Diablo 4 is looking a lot darker and honestly very pretty. As exciting as it is though, fans will have to wait quite some time before getting their hands on it, unfortunately. Diablo's director, Luis Barriga, said that the game isn't even close to coming out. In fact, it's not even close to Blizzard soon coming out. Yikes. What do you guys think? Are these games you're going to pick up at launch?
I don't even know what Blizzard soon means.
It means a long time. Like, when Blizzard says soon, it still means way too long.
Oh, so they're
before the game
liars.
comes out.
Okay. So I play Overwatch a good bit. I like it a lot. I think it's probably the best game Blizzard's ever done. There's a bear in the studio. But I think that for the most part, everything that Overwatch has done has been really good. But I want to preface this. They don't do storyline stuff. And that's the one thing that I think is really missing from the game. This gives us an opportunity to have that. I appreciate that. But I don't know if it's worth me buying a whole new game for it when they could just add it to a perfectly fine server that they're operating on right now.
I have never played Overwatch, but I've seen Dan play it like here and there in the living room.
That's right.
And I think the trailer looks cool. Like I wouldn't mind playing it, especially if they add all those elements that you were talking about. Diablo, I don't know how you could make that game much darker. It seems like a pretty dark and ominous game to begin with. I don't really know like how the direction they're taking this next one could be even darker. Like that seems kind of outlandish to me, but it looks cool. I'm not necessarily like excited about it. Like I'm not like jumping through hoops to play it, but like I mean, if I had the opportunity, it's something that I'd dabble with definitely.
Well, it's darker in the sense of like a lot of people complain with Diablo 3 that when loot dropped, it was like too bright and it was like too contrasting compared to the rest of the game.
Oh, okay.
So now it looks like they're trying to like curb that and
So we're going full Dark Souls with it?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Apparently.
I don't know. Why do that when I can just get a Dark Souls game or play Bloodborne again? Okay.
They're different kinds of games.
Same thing, but
Same, not the same,
All right.
but same.
Okay, so if you're a massive Star Wars fan like me and were offered a chance to write and form a brand new Star Wars world in a new series, you do that, right? Okay, well, what if you were guys who already proved that you could do that? That's better, right? That's a good idea. I guess not. The duo of David Benioff and David Weiss, same dudes who wrote the Game of Thrones series, just dropped out of the new Star Wars series that they were going to make. There's a lot of speculations about why or what they left for. One thing
Because of clowns.
One thing that has a lot of traction is that they left for the new Netflix teen drama, which is sad to hear. So, all right, what does this mean for Star Wars in general? And give us a little bit of an opinion here. More of an opinion, is this good for Star Wars? Because we don't really have a great relationship with these guys as it stands right now.
I think it's fantastic for Star Wars because they showed exactly what their intentions were with Game of Thrones and like building the show up, and then when they had a new project, just kind of casting it aside, which is why, well, among other things, why Season 8 was so bad. And then now I don't want to see that happen to Star Wars. Like Star Wars is already super divisive, so if they just make more bad content, that will only like instill in the fans' minds that anything Disney is bad. So, I mean, like, The Mandalorian looks good, but we need to, like, move on with new, good content for Star Wars, and I don't know if they were going to provide that.
So, like, Star Wars, I pointed out in our last show, like, Disney's going to take whatever trash they can find, put it in between two slices of bread, and sell it to us as a sandwich. Like, and we're gonna just eat it. Like, that's what we're going to do, because it's Star Wars. So, like, obviously we're going to, you know, take the product they're giving us, regardless if these two clowns are involved or not. Now, that being said, like, they took Game of Thrones and threw it in the dumpster, set it on fire, and we're like, we're out, we're doing Star Wars. And now they're like, we're out, we're doing a Netflix teen drama. How? How did you get there? How did you get from point A to point B to point C? Like how? It's like your life is a lie. You're ridiculous. You're defeating your resume at this point. Your resume looks terrible.
Well,
you shouldn't have it anymore.
Well, okay, but like as a writer who blew like what could have been the greatest TV series ending and complete of all time, you blew that series up. You did a bad job for this Star Wars thing. Name a better redemption opportunity than saving a failing Star Wars franchise. I say failing because they're going to make $1 billion on any movie ever, but this was their chance and they blew it.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever. The long-awaited launch of Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC finally happened a year after the console launch. Unfortunately, things haven't been as smooth for PC players as they were for us superior console people.
That's right.
The PC community's experienced a myriad of issues, including freezing, crashing, audio distortion, failure to initialize, and a message saying, quote, activation required, unquote. Many people are finding workarounds, but is it really worth it? I understand wanting to play a game you just got, but as someone who played the game pretty hardcore when it was released last year for console, the superior race, I'm not sure it's worth the trouble. What do you think, boys?
Seamus.
Come on, bring it. Bring the heat.
I think that PC, you know, here's why I like PC more, because even though they are having those issues, they can find workarounds to those issues. You can't say the same for a console. Like for most cases in consoles, like if you have a problem, if the game isn't working, you just have to sit there and just take it. But with PC at least, like if they're having specific issues, at least they can work around it. Like there's ways you can go into the files and rework it. Like I've had to do that with some games, and like I think that if you want to play the game enough, a lot of people on PC probably have a console too, and they probably already have played it. I don't know. I haven't seen the graphics difference on PC, so I don't know if it's actually if it's like actually going to be better. I'm sure over time with mods it'll be better, but I think that it is worth at least picking up and like giving it a shot, even though it might be buggy now.
Oh, the game absolutely is 100% worth picking up. Like we started playing that pretty much the same time last year, and it took me 3 months to like 100% the game. It took me a long time, and I did not have a boring time playing that game at all. I'm going to go into more detail later. My final life is about playing the online version, and it's bad, spoiler alert, but it's absolutely worth getting. It's probably the most beautiful game I've played in a long time, other than maybe God of War. The best protagonist I've played in a video game probably in my entire life.
Great character.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And Dutch Vanderland is probably the best antagonist I've ever had an experience to play against in a game. It's a great litany of characters. It's definitely worth the purchase, but like you said, if it's available and working on console, and you have a console, why buy it again for PC?
Yeah.
Just for like 4K?
4K is
not really worth it.
nice.
4K is nice, but like, you don't have a screen big enough to justify it.
They might.
No, you don't. All right,
No,
it's fine.
well, PC players might.
Goodbye, Seamus. All right, coming up after the ranch, we got a whiteout themed top 5, kind of. All right, we'll see you when you come back. Bye. Console Master Race.
Master Race!
That's right.
Let's go!
Okay.
I like.
I say this every week. Why even turn it into the radio when you can just listen to our bump music? All right, welcome back from the break. I missed you. All right, so Whiteout this weekend. It is Oswego's biggest game of the year, and to sort of pair with that, you know, like a fine wine or a grape juice, we figured we'd give you guys our top 5 snow maps or levels for video games, because Whiteout is like snow, and then snow is snow. So
I think they got it.
Bring the snow!
Okay, snow stuff. So, all right, I'll start. My top 5, Dan time. I'm gonna start with number 5 is Skyrail from Nightfire. Anybody who ever played an N64 knows that that's where the real heroes were made. Level number 4 for me, Avalanche from Halo 3. That was a DLC map, but it was crazy good. Sherbert Land from Mario Kart. It's kind of like that's another one where you make a man out of you. Shout out to Mulan. Narvik. I hope I'm saying that right, from Battlefield 5. It was really good. That was one of my favorites. And then Hoth from Star Wars Battlefront 2. Both of them. That's Star Wars Battlefront 2 for the original Battlefront 2 and the most recent, because they really improved the most recent one. I was telling you this the other day. Really done some really good improvements. Hoth is probably my favorite online multiplayer map that I've ever played.
It was one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars overall, if not my favorite. So like, it's also on my list because Hoth is just it's just nothing but snow. It's so iconic. I love it.
Correct.
But-
Sherbert Land is,
Yeah, I was about to bring that
Sherbert
up.
Land is the maker of men.
That's a tough. That's a tough.
It's
track.
one of them.
Yeah,
Rainbow
yeah.
Road is the
Well, Rainbow
definitive-
Road,
that's true.
Rainbow Road
That's
is
true.
like the be-all, end-all of like Mario Kart
Correct.
maps. But like Sherbert is like, it's like top tier. It's like some upper echelon stuff.
But
Skyrail, I don't know. I just love N64 games regardless. And if it's got a snow map on it, here we are. You know what I
What
mean?
was that name of the laser bazooka on Nightfire? Was it called the Samurai or the Katana or something like that?
I think it was the Katana.
God, that thing
I
was
think
rad.
so.
Man,
Yeah,
put that in
no.
Apex.
No, that was a
Didn't
great
play it.
game. That was a great game. They should like remake that.
All right, Curtis, what you got?
So, my top 5 is Cool Mountain, Super Mario 64.
I totally forgot.
Hey, Surface 1 and GoldenEye 007.
Oh,
Winterhold and Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Ice Cap Zone and Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And Snowhead and Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Snowhead is my number one because, so in that game you have masks and you can transform into like other creatures or like other races of people that exist in that world. And like, so you can turn into the rock people and they like roll, right? And they turn into like this wheel. And there are like jumps strategically set up on that map so you can like jump or take the jumps and like smack into creatures and kill them. It's so fun. It's so much fun.
every single map you've done is a piece of art, and I've forgotten about every single one of them. Like Winterhold is really cool. Like that's the only one that I'm like iffy about. But Ice Cap Zone is so underrated, and then Snowhead. I have had so many long nights playing on Snowhead and just like being like, I'll never amount to the gamer boy that I want to be.
I think Winterhold is as far as I got into Elder Scrolls 5.
That's like the very
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, I hated it.
Wow.
That
Man,
was terrible.
that's intense.
You are
That
the
happens.
least strong of all of us.
I just don't like. I just don't like RPGs. Now I'm gonna show you my strengths right now with my list.
Okay.
Number 5, I'm gonna have. Where's my list?
Hoth.
Number 5, I have Hoth from Battlefront, as we just talked about. Number 4, Duchess Camp in Red Dead Redemption. Number 3, Cliffhanger in Modern Warfare 2. Number 2, the Cosmodrome or Old Russia from Destiny. And number 1, pretty much like half of God of War that's set
Yeah.
in snow.
That's fair.
So,
Yeah,
like God of War, as we've discussed
Masterpiece.
many times, work of art if there ever is one, and it's just beautiful game. And they use snow, I think, really well in that. Where like in most games, snow is really overbearing, but I think it's a nice accent in God of War.
Yeah,
And
because
I
snow
love it.
ain't nothing to the God of War.
Well,
Exactly.
it's like in
I'm
Norse
so stoked.
mythology, like snow is everything. Like snow just it exists.
Yes.
Like it's
Yeah.
they're Nordic people.
Unlike
they're tough,
birds.
rugged people.
That's me.
Birds do exist despite common belief here. But like so with God of War, like snow really accentuates the storyline. It kind of belongs there. So I'm not even mad at you for referencing half the game because like
You're going
it's
to
just the way it
lie
is.
to the people and tell them that birds are real.
Birds are real.
No, man.
Birds are real. Look at this guy.
They're not. They're not. They're not. I agree with the snow thing from God of War. It's really good. It's a nice accent. I do think it's foreshadowing for the next thing because death and snow kind of represent each other. So we'll see how that goes. Hey, don't go anywhere though. 'Cause we got mashups right next. Curtis, you had a line there to read.
We got mashup.
Birds are real.
go.
I'm not reading the prompter.
Birds are not real. I'm
They're
wearing a plain
birds are
blue
a thing.
shirt. Birds are not real.
Birds are a thing.
Birds are pretty
Birds
real.
are
They're
not
real.
real. Ask Richard
I like
They
Nixon.
belong to the
I like
government.
Ask Richard Nixon.
They belong to the
Okay, welcome back to Nerd Herd. We were originally
Nerd.
going to talk about some food stuff, but we're not going to do that anymore because we decided a much better idea, other than mashed potatoes, is mash ups. We'll save the mashed potatoes for later. So we're doing mash ups. We're doing like our ideal mashups that we'll discuss as nerd experts to see if they work or not, right? Curtis, you have the first one, and one that I am very interested in.
All right. So, not too many people are familiar with the anime Kenichi, the Mightiest Disciple. But if you aren't familiar with Ip Man, get out from under the rock you've been using as a shelter and watch all 3 movies. Please do that. So, they're about Bruce Lee's master and his life as a grandmaster in the Wing Chun style. I'd love to see him go toe-to-toe in combat with the grandmaster of the Ryo Zanpaku dojo in Kenichi, Hayato Furinji, who is also known as the Invincible Superman, versus Master Yip is a match made in heaven for those who appreciate the fine art that is martial arts.
I was going to say, wow, man, way to crush that word. I read that in the prompter, and I was like, there's no way. He even wrote that, there's no way.
I mean, I've watched it, so,
Got it.
Sound
I
it
love
out.
Ip Man. Ip Man is really cool. I put Ip Man and Old Boy up there with like my favorite kung fu movies.
Oh, Old Boy is so good.
So good. But I don't know. I'm not that familiar with Kimichi. I think
Kenichi?
yeah. And also, they're never going to finish it, so there's no way.
No,
for us to
yeah,
know
and
its full potential.
that's the worst part about it is they're never gonna finish Kenichi. Like such a good anime, like it's got like real world martial arts styles, like the training is like very accurate, like things like that. But it's just one of those things where like they stopped the anime, they made a bunch of movies, and then like
It's
as a
done.
cash grab, and then they were like, nah, we're
done.
out. Yeah.
All right, what you got, Seamus?
Kung Fu's cool. For my
Yeah.
for my mashup, I'm going to do Ghostbusters Bust Casper the Friendly Ghost. I didn't think of anything actually creative to write after that, so but I think that he wrote like a whole paragraph. I wasn't ready for this, but I think that they're both very comedic, family-friendly properties, and I think that they could work really well together. Dan brought up a good point that they would be better animated if it was the animated Ghostbusters, but I think that you could have a lot of like subversive jokes from the Ghostbusters that will go for the parents, and then a lot of jokes for the kids and
Yeah.
Casper.
So-
And I think it could work really well.
Would you want them to have like Casper as like a mascot or something? Like
Or a-
is
I
that
want
the
them-
direction you want to go?
I want them to originally try and hunt Casper, and then they'll be like, he's like, no, I'm a friendly ghost, and he's
Yeah.
like, they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Can you show us bad ghosts? And he does, and then they bust the bad ghost.
So
And
they
like,
attack his
you know,
uncles?
Yeah,
That'd be
and
pretty
they're like,
rad, yeah.
And they're like, oh, you're not so different, you and I. Boom,
Yeah.
friendship.
Friend
You're
zone.
not so different, you and I. Two of the
Words are
animated
hard.
characters I've hated the most through my life are Casper's uncles. They're terrible people.
Yeah.
In
Let's bust
any
them.
iteration, I'm gonna bust them.
Let's bust
Gonna
them.
wreck it. All right. So
Does
for
Disney
my
own them yet?
idea, it is instead of fighting the Flood, what if Master Chief squares off against the Xenomorphs in Ridley Scott's animated series? Now, I'm particularly thinking about the new Alien game that come out, Alien Isolation, where you are kind of alone and you have to craft like weapons from like batteries and flare guns and stuff like that. But imagine that as Master Chief, and there's like stray USMC guns or whatever it is. I think the United Nations Marine Corps it is in Halo. Imagine that like assault rifles with only like 13 rounds in it, and you're hunting xenomorphs on a taken over ship. Like I think that horror aspect of that would be really cool.
That would be amazing. That would be a great video game. First of all, aliens are like Master Chief would be the ultimate hunter. Like the predators have nothing on Master Chief. Master Chief would apocalypse. He would genocide the entire xenomorph population.
Yeah, I think it's too one-sided. I think it's way too one-sided. Master Chief would just end them.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair.
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty close because there's a lot of xenomorphs. Anyway,
It'd be
all
fun
right.
to watch.
So we've given you a lot of heart up until now, but after the break, we give you our last one. Final lives are coming up after this. We'll see you after the break.
Coming back.
Time for our final lives. So let's not waste any time. Seamus, you go ahead.
All right, for my final life, I'm puzzled and concerned. I'm going to be ranting about The Last of Us 2 being delayed until May 2020. At this point, why? Launching a game 6 months before the release of the PlayStation 5 makes little to no sense to me, considering that they can save it for the PS5 and have a heavy hitter in the starting lineup. More often than not, a console will launch and the games will go quietly into the night. Do you guys remember what launched with the PS4? Knack? Who played Knack? Yeah, that really sent the Game Awards reeling. With The Last of Us 2, however, Sony and Naughty Dog have a chance to throw a game out into the wild with the new system that can really carry it. You want to launch with something to bring in the hype and sell consoles, and The Last of Us is perfect for that. There's no way that the game couldn't be ready in that 6 months. It's 6 months out as it is. They might as well just wait the year and just come out the gate swinging with Joel and Ellie. Sony will still probably nail it though, but I think that The Last of Us 2 will definitely help them.
I'm going to also piggyback on the Sony thing because I'm a PS4 person, and I will be asking Rockstar to stop it, all right? I'm only going to say this one time. Stop pushing Red Dead 2 online on me. I don't want it. It's useless and it's dumb. It's actually the dumbest idea, and you should apologize to me for it, for even pushing it on the first place. The story of Arthur Morgan that you crafted in the campaign is so rich and full of emotional ups and downs that I haven't been as connected to a game in a long, long time. I was invested in his growth. I was torn apart by his downfall. I was immediately invested in the redemption that John Marsden sought out. But online has nothing to do with that. I don't want to go from such a rich story to a poorly constructed PvP, deathmatch, horse races, and poorly plotted heists. It's just bad, right? Just keep it. I don't want that terrible consolation prize. Keep it to yourself. You've given me so much gold, I haven't even used it, right? Now, you made a masterpiece, and there's literally no reason to have an online aspect to it. So stop pushing it, please. I've said it twice now. just to make another game like just please make another game like Red Dead, but like Blade Runner or something else cool that doesn't need an online aspect to suck in more money, you goons.
Well, you know, piggybacking off like that, the good story that they developed. So I want to get back to the writers of Game of Thrones. First of all, how dare you?
Let 'em
You
know.
are absolute cowards.
Let 'em know.
You can take your little Netflix deal and shove it. I refuse to watch anything you two jokers are a part of. If I see Benioff and Weiss attached to your production or anything you're associated with, I hope you fail. I hope everything you touch fails. I hope they get relegated to doing sci-fi shows. Not to bless anyone who's done sci-fi shows. That's just the company these clown cars belong with.
CW.
They ruined, yeah, CW.
right.
They ruined Game of Thrones. They clearly had no idea what direction to take the show after the source material from the books ran out. And they forced the ending early to jump ship for Star Wars. Then you're going to tell me you're bouncing from Star Wars? Good. Thank you. Be unemployed or whatever. As much as I could gripe about what Disney has done with Star Wars, I'm glad Tweedledum and Tweedledee aren't going to make an absolute dumpster fire for the masses to throw money at.
It's very passionate stories, very accurate stories. I wish that you all share this with your mom so everybody could see it. Okay,
Tell 'em.
that's
Yes.
it. Thanks for watching us, and remember, be kind and rewind.
Energy! Let's go.
It's for the juggalos and juggalettes.
This is getting okay.
All right, go to the bump cam.